Port City said, trust the science. Boy, I don't trust them people as far as I can throw they butt. I'ma tell you about your little spit DNA test that is for entertainment purposes only. Now, what we want to see, I'm going to tell the Native Americans, I'm going to tell the indigenous so-called Mexicans. You can't be indigenous and Mexicans. Mexicans is a made-up term. It's a misnomer. We going to keep telling y'all the same thing. Pull out them records, buddy. Show us. I want to see what they came up with your spit. Pull out some paperwork. Show us what you talking about. And since you want to trust your enemy so bad, show me one of your African cousins on there, Port City. Oh, and for the Mexicans and the Native Americans, show me when they dug up a mummy and they tested it and it said they got sickle cell. Show us that y'all got the sickle cell trait, because those are the Maya. We know we got the sickle cell trait. So somebody needs to stop lying over here, okay, buddy? Prove to us you're not off an orphan train, and prove to us that you come from Africa.
Is they're taking the swab? They don't do that. You have to spit in a tube and put that in a tube and submit that.
So don't you think he probably swabbed him out and took the saliva from the lizard and put it in the tube?
Hey, but look, y'all don't gotta believe me. It's okay. My second thing, real quick. I won't be on here long. Real quick. I want to show you guys, because David ain't here, right? David popped off real quick. David showed you guys currency, right? With y'all on it, right? I want y'all to know that this is slaves being depicted on. Yes, it is. These are slaves being depicted on Confederacy currency.
Why would they put slaves on currency? Hey,
David, when you go, David, I drop down for you to come back up.
Where David at?
Where's David? Hold on, I got a question for Port City. I got a question for Port City since he got when was that article written?
That's all.
Port City.
There's David right there.
This wasn't an article. This was during the time.
Even Godly's laughing at you.
I'm asking, when was that written?
That's a good article, Port City. That's a good article. Yes.
ZZ, can you
That's a good article, Port City. You got the best receipts on this platform.
ZZ, can you stop yelling?
I'm out. I know how
Port City. Port City got the best receipts.
ZZ, can you stop yelling? I'm trying to have a conversation. Look, now he dropped. I didn't even get a chance to ask him.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell you something straight off the motherfucking press. I ain't coming for no foolishness.
And you said go straight to the results, correct?
Yeah, I just was curious about your DNA results.
Okay.
Your DNA ancestry.
Going to the results right now. Okay. My results, it says Nigerian, 38%. Cameroon, Congo, West Bantu people, 18%. Ivory Coast, Ghana, 14%. Benin, Togo, 10%. Senegal, 5%. England, well, you're just interested in the African part, right?
You know, mostly. I just wanted to see what percentage-wise of African DNA is running through your veins, my brother.
Okay, it says 30. Well, we got that part. Okay. Nigeria's East Central, 2%. And that's all I see. Oh, yeah, Mali, 4%. That's all I see concerning the continent of Africa.
Okay, good deal, good deal. My second question was, how much Native American ancestry do you possess?
Well, according to Ancestry.com, again, it says I have indigenous American, Bolivia and Peru, 1%. And indigenous Americans, Mexico, 1%. Well, less 1%.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell you something straight off the motherfucking press. I ain't coming for no foolishness.
But I'ma end mine. If you ain't down for the Africans here in the United States, period, point blank. If you ain't down for the ones that suffer in South Africa from apartheid and shit, damn it, you need to step your punk ass to the side and let us brothers and us Africans step in and start putting some foot in that ass.
That's what they told us today. In other words, you still a slave. No matter how much money you got, you still ain't shit.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if I have to die today for this little African right here to have a future. I'm a dead.
Type in Port City Vibes.
That was too easy. If that it was that easy.
Type in Port or Google portcityvibes.com and see what pop up.
Somebody help us, please. Help us get to the Grand Canyon now. We need to get there right now. Please help us get there. Somebody, please help us get there now.
Good evening to you all. Good evening to you all. I would like to thank all of you for joining us tonight. We have Blackwater and Flex debating that the Cherokees are original Africans. Each individual will have 3 10-minute rounds. Um, we will start with Blackwater first to give his introduction, and then we'll move on to Flex, and each one will have 5 minutes to do so. After that, we'll move right on into the debate with Flex. So, Blackwater, you ready?
I am. Yeah, thanks, Kentucky. And so just as an initial matter, I'd like to thank Port City, especially for his willingness to share his platform for this opportunity to discuss what I believe to be a significantly important issue. I'd like to thank you as a moderator for largely coordinating this and putting in the effort that you put into to bring myself and my opponent, Flex Skywalker. Next, I'd like to thank Flex for his willingness to stand up and take on the debate. But more importantly, I'd like to thank the guests that have taken time out of their evenings here on Sunday to have a willingness to sit in and perhaps take away something of value, hopefully, from this debate and discussion. With respect to the debate issue is, that the original Cherokee were of African origins. As an initial matter, it is an extremely bold claim. It is a claim that, of course, is of historical significance and certainly a matter of first impression. In fact, it would be worthy of the award of a Nobel Peace Prize should my highly esteemed, highly motivated opponent, Flex, is able to carry his argument, and provide the evidence that would be necessary. He would be the first in the history of the world to have done so. And so the onus, of course, and the burden certainly rests on him to be able to carry that burden. Next, we're going to be able to show that there's no archaeological, there is no anthropological, there's no linguistic, there's no cultural or DNA evidence to support his claim that the Cherokee, the original Cherokee, were Africans. Further, we're going to demonstrate that first contact with the Cherokee occurred with DeSoto in 1540 on his journey from Florida through Georgia, South Carolina, portions of North Carolina, Tennessee, and then back down into other Gulf states. He would as well have described. We will demonstrate that his description of the individuals that he encountered were similar to those descriptions of Columbus,
the same description of De Leon, the very same description, if you would, of Verrazano. And next, we'll demonstrate that through the transatlantic slave trade, that the first encounters in the Western Hemisphere and what we refer to as the New World, the Americas, were actually brought forth by the Portuguese and bringing enslaved Africans into Brazil. Next, then, with the Spanish and bringing enslaved Africans into the Caribbean, and then into, if you would, the what's referred to as what they refer to as New Spain or Mexico, particularly into Veracruz. Next, we'll show that the first, insofar as the British colonies in the U.S. were concerned, the first encounter was actually there at Jamestown in the August of 1619. Where it is that the history shows that there was 20 and some odd Negroes brought in on the on the White Lion 3 to 4 days later. That ship was followed up by the treasurer with 3 or 4 enslaved Africans. Finally, we will, next we will then demonstrate that the Cherokee homelands encompass Georgia, some portions of northern Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, portions of Virginia, most of West Virginia, Kentucky, and northeastern Alabama. And in so doing, we will as well show that, given that South Carolina was the first colony that was established for the purposes of slavery, that in 1670, relatively immediately, the settlers encountered the Cherokee and other natives, and in fact built relationships and alliances with the Cherokee. And we will show, through various sources that encounter amounted to a description that is similar to the early explorers. And then we'll settle in on showing that not only DNA but as well haplogroup studies provide, that the Cherokee, my apologies, were actually who it is that they're defined today, and that there's no DNA and or haplogroup, if you would, similarities between the Africans and the natives, and particularly in the Cherokees, etc. And then I'd like to remind each of you that Flex has the burden of proof. It is his claim. I am here to refute the claim. It's his burden to show without a reasonable doubt that it is that the Cherokee were originally Africans. With that in mind, I appreciate it. I will now mute and then go off camera. And Kentucky, just really quickly, I think that what we agreed to is that Flex, as the claimant, is going to be able to present his case initially in the first 10-minute round. And so, thanks, and I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Okay, thank you. Much success to you, Flex.
So now we have Flex giving his introduction to his standpoint. Go ahead, Flex.
All right, can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, shout out for everybody that coming out. Yes, today I'll be showing that the Cherokee actually originate from Africa. The region is going to be North Africa, and south of that, historically called Kemet in Nubia. And also they have some Semitic origins as well. So I'll go ahead and go like this. The Cherokee people long celebrated for their rich cultural heritage and advanced societal structures may hold within their genetic code a fascinating and underexplored link to an ancient African Semitic Eurasian lineage. Emerging genetic evidence suggests that the Cherokee exhibit a notably high frequency of haplogroup T, a lineage more commonly associated with North Africa, the Near East, and the Mediterranean, surpassing even the levels found in Egyptian populations. This intriguing genetic marker, when coupled with cultural parallels such as mound building practices, the use of the bow and arrow, and the existence of distant red paint clans, opens up the possibility of a historical connection between the Cherokee and ancient North African or Semitic civilizations. These findings challenge conventional understandings of pre-Columbian American ancestry and suggest a far more complex and far-reaching exchange of peoples ideas, and technologies across continents long before European contact. Adding to the intrigue is the presence of linguistic elements within the Cherokee language that bear resemblance to ancient Afro-Asiatic languages, further supporting the theory of a shared ancestral link. Additionally, certain Cherokee myths and legends contain motifs that echo stories from the Mediterranean and Near Eastern culture, suggesting that the transmission of ideas, beliefs, and even spiritual practices may have occurred over vast distances and time periods. Archaeological discoveries also provide clues to this potential connection. Artifacts resembling those found in ancient North African and Semitic sites have been uncovered in areas historically inhabited by the Cherokee, suggesting that the possibility of ancient trade routes or migrations that brought these people into contact. These artifacts, along with the genetic and cultural evidence, challenge conventional understandings of pre-Columbian American ancestry and suggest a more complex and far-reaching exchange of peoples, ideas, and technologies across continents long before European contact. Such findings open the door to avenues of research and encouraging scholars to reconsider the origins and migrations of Native American peoples and the broader tapestry of human history. And that's how I like to close my opening statement.
Okay, thank you, Flex. You guys will have 10 minutes each. We're doing 3 rounds. Let me get my stop clock. Flex, we're going to start with you. Let me head to my stopwatch. Um, you can begin.
I think Port has to share my screen for me. If y'all can still hear me. All right. Can y'all still see my screen? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. Can you see my screen?
We can see your screen.
Okay. Can you still see it? Can y'all still see it?
Yeah, you're good, bro.
Okay, cool. It's just like a little delay. I was trying to make sure y'all heard me and see my screen. All right, cool. All right, this is from DNA Consultants. They do DNA tests. They've been around since about, I think, 2009. Uh, Anomalous mitochondrial DNA lineages in the Cherokee, original post, Egyptian, Greek, Phoenician, and Hebrew origins of Cherokee. Donald N. Yates submitted August 2009. Abstract, a sample of 52 individuals who purchased mitochondrial DNA testing to determine their female lineage was assembled after the fact from the customer files of DNA Consultants. All claim matrilineal descent from a Native American woman, usually named as Cherokee. The main criterion for inclusion in the study is the test subjects must have obtained results not placing them in the standard Native American haplogroups A, B, C, or D, A, B, C, or D. Hence the use of the word anomalous in the title of a paper prepared by Chief Investigator Donald Yates. And then he goes into it. Most subjects reveal haplotypes that are unmatched anywhere else except among other participants, and there proves to be a high degree of interrelatedness in common ancestral lines. Haplogroup T emerges as the largest lineage, followed by U, X, J, and H. Similar proportions of these haplogroups are noted in the populations of Egypt, Israel, and other parts of the Eastern Mediterranean. The Cherokee in admixture, according to a 2007 report from a U.S. Census, the Cherokee are the largest tribal group today with a population of 331,000, or 15% of all American Indians. Despite their numbers, though, the Cherokee have had few DNA studies conducted on them. I know of only 3 reports on Cherokee mitochondrial DNA. A total of 60 subjects are involved, all from Oklahoma. Possibly the reason the Cherokee are not recruited for more studies, I would suggest, stems from their being perceived as admixture in comparison with other Indians. Accordingly, they are deemed less worthy of study. In the past, whenever a geneticist or anthropologist conducting a study on Native Americans has encountered an anomalous haplogroup, that is, a lineage that does not belong to one of the 5 generally accepted American Indian mitochondrial DNA haplogroups, A, B, C, D, and X. It has been rejected as an example of admixture and not including survey results. This is true of the 2 samples of H and 1 of J reported by Cherokee descendant by Sher. Sher takes these exceptions to prove that the rule and regards them as instances of European admixture. The governing logic of population geneticists seem to go as follows: lineage A, B, C, D, and X are American lineages, and for all American lineages must be A, B, C, D, and X. The fallacy in such reasoning is apparent. It could be restated as all men are 2-legged creatures. Therefore, since the skeleton we dug up has 2 legs, it is human. It might be a kangaroo. The geneticists always seem to cry post-Columbian admixture, says Stephen C. Jett, a geographer at the University of California, Davis, but fail to take into account that there are no plausible post-Columbian sources for the particular genetic mix encounter. Anomalous mitochondrial DNA lineages in the Cherokee concentrates on the so-called kangaroos documented or self-identifying Cherokee descendants whose haplotypes do not fit the current orthodoxy and American Indian population genetics. Here are some of the highlights organized by the haplogroup. Haplogroup H, although this quintessential European haplogroup would seem the most likely suspect admixture or reasonably for the anomalous haplogroups, there are but 4 cases of it. So that was a low level of haplogroup H. Haplogroup X, later coming in the pantheon of Native American haplogroups, its relative absence in Mongolia and Siberia, and a recent proven center of diffusion in Lebanon and Israel pose problems for the standard account of people in America's DNA consultants. Cherokee descendant customers include 7 instances of haplogroup X. David E. Lewis, whose Cherokee name is Wayuwetsi, traces his unmatched X haplogroup type back to saying as a Cherokee woman of the Wolf Clan born or near the Qualla boundary in North Carolina in 1862. 2 cases represent descendants unknown to each other, incidentally, of the Cherokee woman called Polly, who is the namesake for the Qualla Reservation. And let me see. I just want to show haplogroup T. Here's the map and the frequency of haplogroup T. And then haplogroup T actually comes from the Eve gene. And this is what was found at the highest frequency of the 60 tested Cherokee in this first study here. I'm going to go down. J, 2 other cases of J to Polly, tracing their lines back to Betsy Walker, a Cherokee woman born about 1720 in SoCo, one town. A descendant was the wife of Paramore Colonel Will Thomas, the first chief, and founder of Eastern Band Cherokee. View J are still evolving, but it seems to originate in present-day Lebanon. This is a admixture. And haplogroup U has never been reported in American Indians to my knowledge. In our sample, it covers 13 cases of 25% total. Second in frequency only to haplogroup T. One of U's is Mary M. Gambert Brower. She belongs to U5ALA, but has no close matches anywhere. Her great-grandmother was Clarissa Green of the Cherokee Wolf Clan, born 1846. Mary's mother maintained the Cherokee language and rituals. One of the cases, UTE, is my own. This line evidently arose from a Jewish Indian trader and a Cherokee woman. So another admixture is haplogroup U. And some Jordans, in fact, bear the Cohen modal haplotype that has been suggested to be a genetic marker, signature of Old Testament priests. Enoch Jordan was born 1768 in Scotland. So there's the admixture of haplogroup U and J. And then here's haplogroup T, that was the most prevalent. Tara, she was named by Brian Scott, believed to originate in Mesopotamia originally 10,000, 12,000 years ago, and had moved towards through the Caucasus, westwards towards Anatolia into Europe. The closer one goes into the origin of the Fertile Crescent, the more likely T is around higher frequencies. The haplotype includes slightly fewer than 10% of modern Europeans, but accounts for 28% of people in the DNA consultant study. The great-grandmother Linda Burkhalter was Sully Firebush, the daughter of a Cherokee chief who married Solomon Sutton.
Flex, you're at your 3-minute mark.
Okay. Stowaway son of. So I have 7 minutes left, or I only have 3 minutes left? 3 minutes left?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Jewish trader. 3 T's are perfectly matching individuals completely unknown to one another before testing, who are clearly descended from the same women. 2 of them claim Melungeon ancestry. The many interrelationships noted above reinforce the conclusion that this is a faithful cross-section of a population. No such mix could have resulted from a post-1492 European influence to the Cherokee Nation. So where do our non-European, non-Indian appearing elements come from? The level of haplogroup T in the Cherokee, which was 26.9, approximates the percentage for Egypt at 25%. One of the only lands where T attains a major position among the various mitochondrial lineages. In Egypt, T is 3 times higher than that what is in Europe. Haplogroup U in our sample was about the same as the Middle East in general. Its frequency is similar to that of Turkey and Greece. J has a frequency not unlike Europe, less little than 10%. The only other place where X is found, elevated parts of American Indian groups like the Ojibwe and among the Druze in the hills of Galilee in northern Israel and Lebanon. The work of Schluss et al. Demonstrates that this region is in fact the center of the worldwide diffusion of haplogroup X. The Phoenicians on the Y chromosome side of Schluss et al. Study, male haplogroup K was found to have a highly relative high frequency of 11 in the Galilee region. K, renamed to T, revised YCC nomenclature, has long been suspected to be genetic signature of the Phoenicians. A TV show by the National Geographic appeared about a year ago titled Who Were the Phoenicians, in which Spencer Wells of the National Geographic Project unveiled.
You're at your 1 minute mark.
Okay. Without a doubt, it was the Phoenicians whose name among themselves was Kainai or Canaanites, not Phoenician red paint people, who are referenced by James Adair when he observes that several old American towns are called Kainai, which suggests that Kanoi Indians of Pennsylvania and Maryland were Canaanites, and the tribal name a corruption of the word Canaan. Okay, let me see. And I'll just break down from Eve Jean to haplogroup T, 250,000 to 150,000 years ago. Eve Jean started, then 130 to 100,000 years ago, early Homo sapiens, 100,000 to 70,000 years ago out of Africa. And then you have the emergence of haplogroup T from 45,000 to 30,000 years ago, which is believed to have emerged from Northeast Africa, the Arabian Peninsula.
Time.
All right. I had to explain all that DNA bullshit. Oh boy.
So next we have Blackwater. Blackwater, you'll have 10 minutes as well. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, bear with me. I want to get up my first slide here. Let's see. I will start here. Okay, and I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me one brief New York moment. What to present? Share screen. Share. Let's see. The entire screen. And I think I'm ready.
Okay, I'm starting the clock.
Okay, let's see. Well, I want you to confirm that you're able to see my screen at this point.
No, I can't see your screen.
That's not a good thing. Let's go back. Bear with me 1 second. So if you would stop that clock until we figure out why it is that my screen's not showing. Maybe I should show window instead. My apologies. Now, let me ask you, are you able to see my screen now?
No, I can't see your screen.
I'm not sure why that is. Let's see. My apologies for the delay. You know, I've got... Oh, we just went through this. Let's see. Wrong time. So I've selected to share my entire screen, and I've shown it shows that it's sharing, and so I'm not sure what's preventing it. So are you able to see my screen at this currently?
I can't see the screen. Black. I'm trying to see if I can see it. I don't see it pulled up. It don't say it's sharing it.
Okay, here, let me go back. It's because it's saying to me that it's sharing. And so let's see, I'm in my entire screen. And I apologize, guys. Please forgive me.
No worries.
It says choose what to share with StreamYard. I've selected my entire screen.
Did you share all of it? Did you share entire? Are you sharing entire screen or are you sharing a tab?
I'm sharing my entire screen.
Okay, and I don't see it up here. Normally, I'll see where you're sharing it.
I went through this very same process when we went through a little practice round, and so bear with me. How embarrassing!
Chill out in the audience, like everybody like this joint. Chill out real quick, but
okay.
Normally,
okay, bear with me. Bear with me 1 second.
Now, close out. Okay, there you go.
Okay, and so now I just need to switch over to the tab, right? Are you able to see my screen now?
We are good. Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody liked the video. So we good now. I think you had to share the entire. There's a certain icon.
Yep, I see where it is that I made my error. And so, as an initial matter here again to the opponent, I apologize for the delay to the host as well as the moderator. My apologies, and more importantly, to those that have taken and dedicated their special and valuable time. So, here, to begin, I want to make certain that those that are in attendance, paid particular attention to my highly esteemed opponent's words in his introduction. He presented, if you would, a view that was skewered with terms such as and phrases such as the possibility of a connection. Please make note of that. He further made that there is the potential shared ancestral link. That is quote unquote. Please pay close and particular attention to that. He further mentioned that there is further a possibility of a connection. And then finally, there was the term that it is a suggestion. That, my friends, are not a definitive, if you would, claim, and does not support the claim of the first and the original Cherokees being African. The onus and the burden on one that's making a claim is to provide, if you would, and certainly in this situation, what would be considered overwhelming evidence. A possibility is not an overwhelming. All things are possible, but most are not probable. And so please keep your minds on that. And so I'm going to start where it is that he begun to push back. My first source is here from the National Library of Medicine, which is a part of the HHS, the Health and Human Services Department of the U.S. And equally, it is referred to as the National Institute of Health. It is the most prominent and premier, if you would, health studies facility in the country. And the first article here studied.
I'm sorry, man. Let Kentucky know when you're ready to start, so she can officially start your clock.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kentucky.
Yeah, I want to make. Yeah.
Kentucky, I'm officially ready to start, and I just
closed out. I started when he started.
All right, my bad.
Okay, and I just closed out a window. Wow. So with that in mind, I'm going to still yet move forward. No worries. The claims with respect to the haplogroup, I'm going to start with this particular article. I'm sorry. Here again, a study, I should say, from the National Library of Medicine, and it looks at the mitochondrial DNA diversity in the African American population. I want to draw your attention to just one particular paragraph that is definitive in its assertions here, and it's this, where it says clearly, few studies have described the veritability of mitochondrial DNA in the African American population in the United States. A comprehensive analysis of mitochondrial DNA and a sample of 1,148 African Americans reported a distribution of mitochondrial haplogroups and relevant single nucleotide polymorphisms similar to those observed in African populations. I want to underscore that and go back once again and make certain that everyone took from that particular paragraph precisely what it is that it said. It said that a comprehensive analysis of mitochondrial DNA and a sample of 1,148 African Americans reported a distribution of mitochondrial DNA haplogroups and relevant single nucleotide polymorphisms, or what's more commonly understood to be SNPs, similar to those observed in African populations. Why is this important? Because the claim here is that the original Cherokees are, if you would, of African origin, etc. I want you to keep that in mind as we move forward. And then I'm going to provide here another sentence here. 13 of the 18 haplogroups previously observed in African populations were observed in the African American populations. Why would that be important? We will come to understand here as we move forward that the claimant, my highly esteemed opponent, has mentioned that the Cherokees, the original Cherokees, if you would, based on evidence that he's alleged to provide, apparently it came to and was here in this particular country, for some period upwards of 13,000 years or thereabout, etc. And so, as we all know, and I'm no scientist, I don't pretend to be one, neither on TikTok, here on YouTube, or any place else. I'm only reading sentences and taking extracts or extractions, if you would, from the data here, where it is that anyone can draw, a reasonable conclusion that if in fact there is a correlation between the African American, if you would, haplogroups and the mitochondrial DNA, and that of what the gentleman claims to be, the original Cherokees being African, at some point that DNA, I believe my understanding is clear, that it would have gone through, if you would, a drastic change and thereby not be the very same mitochondrial DNA and haplogroup that in fact had exited Africa. And although he did not specify precisely when the exodus, the methodology of exodus, etc., and so it still yet leaves open, exactly the pathway, and I'm sure that he will get to that at some point, prior to the end of his presentation. I did have open, and I guess I closed it, the DNA studies, if you would, of Native Americans. And because I closed it, I'm going to circle back, but keep this in mind. What I want to also highlight is this. He mentioned Betsy Walker. He mentioned Betsy Walker in the context of, if you would, being, if you would, demonstrative of being, an African American, and an example of from the 1800s, if you would, of the Africans that he alleges to be the original Cherokees. And so my next source is a site called tangledhistories.org, and it's the article's entitled "Betsy Walker, the Cherokee Great Grandmother Who Doesn't Exist." Let me read that once again. Betsy Walker, the Cherokee Great Grandmother Who Doesn't Exist. I'm going to take just a couple of excerpts from this. It's a relatively long article, but I want to take some that's going to push back and push.
Blackwater, you're at your 3-minute mark.
Thank you so very much. I want to present just a couple of excerpts that's going to push back in a forceful and a demonstrative way against the claim that he made with respect to Betsy Walker. So here, the introduction is, as with so many things in my great-grandfather's life and in the history we're writing, figuring out simple truths is a complicated mess, And I mean, Skip, for instance, Will Thomas had an illegitimate son named William Pendleton Penn Hyde with a white woman named Catherine Hyde, whose white family and lineage is known. This is a simple and undisputed fact. Nevertheless, over time, the white Catherine Hyde has been given the fake Cherokee name. Let me repeat that. The fake Cherokee name, Kanaka, and a full-blooded Cherokee grandmother named Betsy Walker, who married a white man named Edward Leatherwood. And in generations of Hydes and Leatherwoods have been told about Kanaka and the Cherokee Betsy Walker and believe it is a true family history. I want to stroll down a bit. Please let me know when I'm at my minute mark, if you would. And let's see. Betsy Walker myth. The two Cherokee children, Richard and Betsy Walker, were orphaned during the removal, discovered by soldiers and given to Felix Walker to raise. According to the story, Betsy Walker grew up and married a white man, Edward Ned Leatherwood. All the Betsy Walker claims of Cherokee descent are based on this story and from this supposed marriage. Let me know when I'm at my minute mark, if you would. And here's an interview that included, that was with respect to,
You're at your minute mark,
Betsy Walker. So thank you so very much. And here is a quick historical basis. I should be able to get through the first paragraph. This myth is built on some vague historical facts. I want to underscore that this myth is built on some vague historical facts. We find them expressed in passing references and testimony from two much earlier lawsuits. Both suits involved different parts of the writer's family. The first reference is from the 1812 deposition of John Dobson and Walker versus Avery lawsuit. John Dobson says he received information from Indian Dick raised by Felix Walker that the old town at the mouth of the Yukon, or the Big Creek of Tuck, was called the 12-mile town, and where it was called 12 miles to the next town below the junction of Tuck and Cowee Forts of Tennessee, and the town there was. Thank you, host.
Next up, Flex. You ready? You have 10 minutes. Are you ready?
Yeah, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. Your time begins now.
All right. This is going to be, okay, you mentioned Betsy Walker. We know that the original Cherokee are not European. So this study wasn't just based on her. It was actually a three-phase study. Cherokee, unlike other Indians, this was an updated one, 2018. Goes on historically H1, the center in Libya. Okay, hold on. But in let's start from up here. Phase 3 of DNA Consultants Cherokee DNA Studies projects. You will have to wait a little longer for all the answers. But in the meantime, she's enrolled. These are all enrolled participants. She's enrolled as participant 52 and matches one other woman in the unique study. Their rare lineage labeled American Indian H1Z1, historically H1, is situated in Libya and Tanzania, among the Tuareg people concentrated around the site of ancient Carthage, which is ancient Carthage is in North Africa. In the first millennium BCE, this was the homeland of the sea roving Phoenicians who sent teeming colonies westward, composed of natives from the Maghreb interior, the Cherokee Paint clan. It has been suggested by Donald Yates and others preserves their name Paint or Punic people, given to them because of their monopoly in making purple dye and trading luxury goods. The Phoenician name is their own Semitic languages translated as Canaanite, a reflection of their origins in the East Mediterranean. James Adair, who first wrote the book about the American Indians, suggests this ethnonym national identity appears in the name of the Kanawha River as the name next Indian tribe in Kentucky and West Virginia. Phoenicians are probably also the source of haplogroup X in the New World, and they're implicated in the mystery of the Melungeon people, with court cases mentioning them by name. Phase 3 of the studies is now closed, with 57 participants enrolled over the 3 years. It began in 2007, and that's when he began his book. Although ignored by most tribal bibliographies and Native American journals, his book was favorably reviewed by Stephen Jett, a noted geographer, who endorsed it with the screed revolutionary DNA findings. He went on to say in his academic book, Ancient Ocean Crossings, Donald Yates and collaborators characterized the mtDNA of 52 individuals of partial Cherokee ancestry who did not display any of the usual Native American mtDNA haplogroups A through D, identified in order of the frequency haplogroups T, U, X, J, H, L, K, T, X, and J, Levantine, Eastern Mediterranean origin. And I'll show you haplogroup T again. Its actual origin comes from the Eve gene, which is the African ancestor, and then it just mutates down and it migrated. And then the frequency, let me see if I can find it. This is the haplogroup T with its highest frequency in like the Horn of Africa, along that area, Egypt, and then the Middle East, and also southern India, I believe, and then the Mediterranean area too. And then going from that, it says, who were the Anikatani, an excursion into Cherokee historical thought? Who are the Anikatani? Evidence assembled and examined in this article reviews a prehistoric revolt by the Cherokees against a priestly class or hereditary clan, the Anikatani, whose members, according to legend, were massacred in a public uprising in response to their corruption and sexual impropriety. Some evidence relates to the Anikatani to the historic Cherokee clan, the Anigalohi, and some to the historic Cherokee fire priest. The author interprets the legend as a dramatic epitomization of Cherokee cultural processes, which tendencies hierarchy conflicted with tendencies towards egalitarianism. And then it goes here, the Anikatani were an ancient priesthood among the Cherokee people. According to Cherokee legend, the Anikatani were slain during a mass uprising by the Cherokee approximately 300 years prior to European contact. One legend says that this uprising was sparked by accusations that they had become corrupt. And then they might be connected to the Long-Hair clan or the fire priests that existed in historic times. They were either a clerical class or a hereditary clan, as Ani is fixed to a group, referring to a group of individuals. And then let's see. This is a copper plate of the Birdman that was found in a mound in Cahokia, and it was a Etowah chief, and the bird connects back to Horus, and also the phoenix, which is in ancient Egypt, classical antiquity, a fabulous bird associated with the worship of the sun. The Egyptian phoenix was said to be as large as an eagle. And then we have the also the statues that were found there. That was also practiced in Egypt. And then here's a Phoenician.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, here's a Phoenician stone. This is where the alphabet originates. And then here's an artifact that was found at a mound at a Grave Creek. And here's the mound it was found at. Here's the original photograph from the Smithsonian. And here's the mound it was found at, Grave Creek Mound. And then here's Phoenician stone. So there's the similarities of the culture. And then also here's like I said, the actual alphabet of the Phoenicians, alphabet origins. And then you also have the Back Creek stone. This one is debated, but they said they found it in a mound at the Back Creek Mound. And in 1868, they were making the connection, holiness to the Lord, an inscription worn on the forehead of the high priest as described in Exodus. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold and wrote on a lighted engraving. So, and then let's see.
You're at your 1 minute mark.
And here's the origins of the Phoenicians. It says in the world of archaeology history, there existed a drastic confusion, seemingly raging battle regarding the origin of Phoenicians. Some have said that the Phoenicians came from the shores of the Athenian Sea or the Dead Sea. Others claim that they've come from India or even Ireland. This paper will shed some light on the origin. And it goes down the show. In conclusion, we can say that the Phoenicians came to the shores of Lebanon from somewhere else. It was Africa tens of thousands of years ago, and from the stock that remained here, the Phoenician culture developed. Lebanon is one of the most important locations to understanding the beginnings of this migration and its human development, and therefore should begin to bear the fruits of this research. The Phoenician culture is very important intersection to understand the development of the human race. Alrighty.
Next, we'll have Blackwater up for 10 minutes. We're on our third round, I believe. Blackwater, let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I want you to confirm that you're able to see my screen again. And so let's see. Let's go here. Actually, my apologies. There we are. There. And are you able to see my screen?
No.
Oh, maybe because I didn't hit share. What about that?
No.
Now you can see my screen, correct?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Exceptional. So, here again, gentleman makes, has broadened his claim from the Cherokees being, if you would, African to where it is that it appears that he is including, perhaps all Native Americans being African. And I say that because he brought up the Cahokia mounds. As we all understand, the territory of the Cherokee were, at first contact was really defined. And I'll come back to this. This is from UNESCO, And bear with me. Let me go and demonstrate, the territory, and I apologize, of the there we go, right there. And so if you're able to see the map here, I initially clearly pronounced where it is that it appears that the history records the Cherokee territory. And our host, are you able to see my cursor as I move it?
No, I can't see it.
Okay, well, and so we're talking North Georgia, South Carolina, portions of Western North Carolina, portions of Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Northeast Alabama. Certainly not out where it is that the Cahokia mounds would be found, and that would be actually the Mississippian, if you would, culture. And so here is a site, at the UNESCO.org, and it's a World Heritage site. And what it shows is Cahokia Mounds State Historical Park, and I'm largely pushing back on the claim, for moving away from the idea that this was Mississippi, if you would, Cherokee territory. And bear with me, I want to stroll down here really quickly. This is located, this particular mound is located in Collinsville, Illinois, near the city of St. Louis. This largest pre-Columbian settlement north of Mexico is the preeminent example of a cultural, religious, and economic center of the Mississippian culture, which extended through the Mississippi Valley and of southeastern United States. And so here again, I think that that my opponent has moved outside of the territory in which it is that the Cherokee would have been known to exist, if you would, to include areas in which it is that there appears not to be a record. But I want to take you back to a couple of items that were highly noticed. He used here again indefinite terms, such as the idea has been debated, meaning that it's not a settled issue. He mentions, in fact, and perhaps in his reading, and he did not pay close attention to, he mentioned, the term legend, meaning that it's not established as fact, that it is, that at the very best, it is, something that may be considered, but more that at this point has not been established. He used the term that here again on the second round, that it might be connected, not that it is definitively connected. And why these things are important is this, ladies and gentlemen, that we must establish here again, beyond a reasonable doubt, and perhaps even with a preponderance of evidence, and maybe even using even a stronger standard, especially given the fact that he is at this point seeking to make history this evening, as I understand him not to be an archaeologist, an anthropologist, and neither a linguist, or perhaps not having, if you would, as well, any credentials in the science, in the fields of science at all. But with that in mind, the burden certainly is on him. The onus is on him to demonstrate, through a strong, if you would, a pronouncement that his claim lies true, that the original Cherokees are of African descent, or were actually Africans. At this point, we are far away. We're as far away from being able to establish that point as we were prior to the beginning of the debate. And so, although I hold this young man in high regards, I think that in this 10th round, in this next round, that he must have the golden egg, that he's going to be able to present something to us that's going to overwhelm us, that's going to bring us, if you would, to the point where it is that he leaves us with our mouths open, because at this point, we're gasping, looking for the evidence in which it is that he was offering. And I wanted to go back. Did I just close that window? I did again. And so I closed the window again. I'll do it during my next session to show here again, to establish through the National Institute of Health that the haplogroups of the Cherokee in particular, because that's the group that the discussion, his claim is regarding, has an entirely different, as Native Americans broadly have an entirely different haplogroup than Africans, and he's not yet been able to demonstrate how it is that over some period of time that those Africans that he's claiming were the original Cherokees have now morphed into a different haplogroup, because what we're looking at is that the Cherokees share, the very same haplogroups, and that is plural, as other Native Americans, which are still yet distinguishable and distinct, if you would, from African Americans as well as Africans. And so we're still yet looking for, if you would, that information that is going to dazzle us with respect to the claim. And I'm sure
3 minutes.
I'm sure that he's able to do it, but at this point, we are far removed from being able to have that experience. I was looking forward to it. I continue to look forward to it. But while we're here, and I've got a couple of minutes, I want to go on and move on now to where it is that there's some descriptive language. Where during the early frontier, and especially as I mentioned in my introductory statement, that South Carolina was established as if you would, a colony. And 1663, the city of Charleston was established in 1670, and there was lots of interaction between the Cherokee and the initial settlers, or the colonists, if you would. But however, be reminded that there equally were, if you would, that were brought in initially from Barbados. They brought in what was used then, the term that was used then is Negroes. And the Negroes were, based on the early writings, highly distinguishable from those from the natives, the Cherokee. And so let's do a little minor exercise here. I'm presenting the Southern Frontier from 1670 through 1732 by Professor Werner Crane of Brown University. This was published in 1928, and I want to do just a minor exercise with you here. And the exercise is this, is that I'm going to go here. Let's go there. And I want to show here again the interplay between the term Cherokee, and during the next session, I'll show the term Negro, how it is that they are distinguishable, throughout this period of time by then the historical record. Here it is. I'll read from the bottom. Governor Johnson in 1708 said the Cherokees were settled in 60 towns and had at least 500 men. An exact account of the number and strength of all the Indian nations that were subject to the government of South Carolina and solely traded with them in the beginning of the year of 1715, drawn from the journals of Narney. I have Thomas Narney's letter from South Carolina that was published in 1710 that I'm planning on presenting in my next session as well. And then John Wright, who was a quote-unquote Indian agent for one of the first two. Thomas Narns was the first. John Wright was the second Indian agent for the state of South Carolina, and their descriptions as well of those natives that they encountered was consistent with the descriptions of Columbus, the descriptions of Verrazano, the descriptions of de Leon. Thank you so very much.
Flex, let me know when you're ready. Flex.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let me know when you're ready so I can start your time.
All right, you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
All right, I'm gonna go to access genealogy. So this is the last updated 2023 Cherokee DNA. First, the reader should understand that if any commercial DNA lab returns test results that state a percentage of DNA for a particular southeastern Native American tribe, the report should be considered fraudulent. American Society of Human Genetics will not certify any DNA test markers to be associated with a particular southern eastern American Indian tribe. The technique for creating indigenous DNA markers and samples reliably number of ethnically pure members of a tribe. Basically saying it doesn't have enough. There's not enough pure people for people to give a label, and then it's gonna go down. Talk about the study. All right, DNA consultants Cherokee study in 2008. DNA consultants initiated comprehensive DNA testing of Cherokee Indians living on the Qualla Reservation in western North Carolina. The North Carolina Cherokees were chosen because after 180 years in the West, Oklahoma Cherokees are so thoroughly mixed with other ethnic groups that any DNA test marker obtained would be meaningless. The laboratory immediately stumbled into scientific hornet's nest when the results were issued on a press release in April 2010 that Cherokee princess in someone's genealogy was most likely actually Middle Eastern or North African. Its scientists have labeled the Cherokees not as Native Americans, but as a Middle Eastern, North African population. The implication is that they are indeed the 10 lost tribes of Israel. DNA Consultants has now tested a much larger population on the North Carolina reservation and gotten similar results. The Cherokees seem to be the people that Britt Kennedy thought the Melungeons were. The Cherokees tested had high levels of DNA test markers associated with Berbers, Native Egyptians, Turks, Lebanese, Hebrews, and Mesopotamians. Genetically, they are more Jewish than the typical American Jew of European ancestry. So-called full-blooded Cherokees had high levels of European DNA and a trace of Asiatic Native American DNA. Some card-carrying Cherokees had almost no Asiatic DNA. The European DNA contained a much higher level of DNA test markers associated with the Iberian Peninsula that was typical of Caucasian Americans. The level of haplogroup T in the Cherokee, which is at 26.9%, approximated the percentage of for Egypt 25%, one of the only lands where T attains a major position among the various mitochondrial lineages. The lab claims that their skin color and facial features are primarily Semitic in origin, not Native American. Another DNA lab, Family Tree in Houston, Texas, has recently announced its own Cherokee study. Family Tree has worked with Melungeon organizers for 8 years. Family Tree has not made any public announcements concerning. Then I like to go because he mentioned the Mississippian culture and the Cherokee. Since the origins of the Cherokee people are lost in the midst of time or tradition, has the ancestors of the Cherokee migrating south from the Great Lakes region. The language of the Cherokee is Iroquoian language, family shared with many Native American tribes, which is modern day New York, Michigan, Ontario, Quebec. Pockets of other Iroquoian languages are found in Pennsylvania, with the Cherokee homelands of western North Carolina, northwestern South Carolina, northeastern Georgia, and eastern Tennessee. The ancestors of the Cherokee are considered part of the later Pregast phase of the South Appalachian Mississippian culture, a period where ceremonial mounds were built in a town with numerous smaller villages around it. As with so many of the Mississippian people across the southeast, the arrival of Spanish conquistadors would spread disease and chaos through their lands, beginning the process of destruction. And then I'm gonna show. This is the mound at Etowah, Georgia. Let me see. And this practice was also done. It's also done in the Kingdom of Kush in northeast Africa region of Karma. We captured North Nubia from Egypt. Sorry. trying to go fast for y'all. This Nubian burial mound of the Nabataean king was discovered at Balana, Lower North Nubia, during excavations. That's the second mound. Sorry, this is the illustration of Mound C at the Toa Mound. These are the Cahokia Mounds, which parallel and make the Egyptian and Nubian connection. Let's see. I think I closed it, but I was trying to show one of the artifacts found. Okay, I'll just go here. Cherokee legend of the cedar tree. A long time ago, when the Cherokee people were new upon the earth, they thought that life would be much better if there was never any night. They beseeched the Olga, the Creator, that it might be all day at the time and no darkness. The Creator heard their voices and made the night cease. And made the night cease, and it was day all the time. Soon the forest was thick with heavy growth. It became difficult to walk, find a path. The people toiled in the gardens, meanwhile, I was
You're
trying
at your 3-minute mark.
Okay. Keep the weeds pulled from among the corn and other plant food. It got hot, very hot, and continued that day. After a long day, the people began to find it difficult to sleep. They asked the Creator to stop making it day all the time. The Creator loved the people and decided to give them night. And they said it was too cold and the crops wouldn't work. And they said that they made a mistake again. And he said, "Can you make it back?" And he said he listened to him. And then he said, sorry, uh, the day and the night had become as the people had asked, and the day was beginning. Each day was divided between light and darkness, and the weather became more pleasant. The crops began to grow again. Game was plentiful, and the hunting was good. The people had plenty to eat, and there was not much sickness. The people treated each other with compassion and respect, and was good to be alive. The people thanked the Creator for their life. The Creator accepted gratitude, and the people were smiling again. However, after long days of night, people began to pass away, and the Creator was sorry that they perished. The Creator placed their spirits in the newly created tree. This tree was named Asi no Lagu cedar tree. So, reason I said that is the cedar tree was connected with Lebanon and the Phoenicians. Early use of cedar of Lebanon was prized throughout the ancient Near East. The Pelennor stone indicates cedar was imported to Egypt in the reign of the fourth dynasty of the king of Snefru.
1 minute.
All right. Like I mentioned at the beginning, the genetic evidence suggests that the Cherokee exhibit a notably high frequency of haplogroup T, a lineage more commonly associated with North Africa, the Near East, and the Mediterranean, surpassing even the levels found in Egyptian populations. Here's a Grave Creek stone that was found. Here's the Phoenician alphabet. Here's the Phoenician stone.
Time.
Appreciate
you. Next, we have Blackwater. Blackwater, let me know when you're ready.
Give me one moment, and I will have my screen up. I want to go back to stops. Let's say I'm there. Slides. What happened just then? Oh, I want to present. My apologies. Give me one sec. Slides. I want to share my screen. What happened? Why can't I do that again? So I'm going to stop once again, and then I need to start back up. Share screen. Okay, there we go. Bear with me. Let's get back into where we were. Window. I want to go back to the Southern Frontier, I think I was on. Right here. And then share. Okay, are you able to see my screen? Kentucky?
Yeah. Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, bear with me 1 second. Let me go. No, give me 1 second. Let me get into my first source here. And so I am ready. Would you start the clock, please? Thank you. And so I'd like to continue here with the Southern Frontier. As I mentioned, the Cherokee had played a significant role in the state of South Carolina and its partnerships, alliances with the early settlers, the early colonists, if you would. And there were a number of experiences, where it is that they supported the colonists and their activities, if you would, and seeking to expel other tribes from the areas of South Carolina, as well as parts of Georgia, and then also in attacking some tribes that had left the area and moved down into the area, Spanish-controlled Florida, in and around St. Augustine. We'll continue here, and then I'm going to offer here, given that this is the third round, some.
Hey, hold up, time out. Can anybody see that? I don't think they see your screen, Black.
Oh,
so stop.
Okay,
you got.
I'll stop the clock.
Okay, good deal.
I'm sorry.
The entire screen or the tab, but just make sure you can.
Yeah, bear with me. All right. And so let me do the same thing I did last time. Share screen. I'm going into the window. Right there. I'm going to share. Are you able to see my screen, Kentucky?
I'm seeing the same screen that we've seen earlier.
Okay. And I'm just now going to open up the tab that I just had open. Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you were not able to see my screen here. And so, are you still able to see my screen? Hello?
It's the same screen that we've seen earlier.
I'm sorry. The same one. Is there a I'm not sure when you're saying the same one, and I apologize.
I don't think you. We can't see your source.
Okay,
yeah,
bear with me.
You're showing the entire screen, so maybe you want to switch over and show your tabs. Share your tabs versus the entire. I think that might.
You got it. All right, bear with me one brief moment here. I'm going to figure this thing out. I thought that I had, but this is the first time that I've gone into a PDF. Actually, well, I'd shown it earlier. I showed that PDF earlier, and you guys were able to see it when I introduced the Southern Frontier. Were you able to see it then? At the end of the last round. Here, let me stop.
Yeah, we was able to see your screen.
Okay, and so I'm not sure what's happening. So bear with me. And here again, I apologize to Flex as well as to the audience. Share screen. I am. I'll go this way. All right, and let's see. Share. Are you able to see my screen now?
It's coming up. It's coming up. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Okay.
Do I need to restart the clock, or do we
Yeah.
start?
Go ahead and restart his clock. Whenever you're ready, Blackwater. Let her know to go, and y'all can restart.
Okay. Okay. Bear with me 1 second. I need to get back into.
Try again, y'all.
Yeah, what I will suggest as well is I've been gone for going on for about 2 minutes, that we should add an additional 2 minutes to Flex. I want to make certain that we're being fair here, and so I was speaking, and although you weren't able to see my screen, I think that it'd only be fair to add an additional 2 minutes to his time, to his 5-minute closing, so that if there's anything that he'd like to present in addition, that he has the opportunity to do so. And so if he's okay with that, I think that would only be appropriate. I was speaking, although my screen wasn't being visible, I would imagine that I was still yet, hopefully having some influence on the debate. And so if we could, and if you would start me up, I'd appreciate it. Madam Moderator.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, so continuing here, and the goal here is to just to show how it is that those that were present during the time of the early colony of South Carolina distinguished in language as well as in behavior, and equally in treatment. On the one hand, the Cherokee, and on the other, the enslaved Africans that were brought to the area, and how they were two separate and distinct cohorts that were not confused under any circumstances, etc. And so I was providing here at the bottom of the page, where it is that the term Cherokee is being used, as well as establishing that there was apparently 60 towns and had at least 500 men. And then in this, I'll begin, quote, an exact account of the number and strength of all of the Indian nations that were subject to the government of South Carolina and solely traded with them in the beginning of the year of 1715, drawn from the journals of Narn. As I mentioned earlier, Thomas Narn was a Swede that had come to South Carolina and became the very first what was referred to as Indian agent, meaning that he negotiated with the natives on behalf of the colonists. And then John Wright, who was one of the individuals that had interrupted a meeting of the Yamasee, the Creek, and some other native tribes at a town called Pocataligo, and in the lower portion of the state of South Carolina. And on April the 14th, and on the following day, April the 15th of 1715, is when it is that the Yamasee Wars began, and they began just a fairly short distance from where it is that I am right now. I know that area, and know that area extremely, extremely well. But moving on, and so here again, I'm showing, I want to move forward. Bear with me here. Let's get that up. Here again, this is to be demonstrative of the interaction between the Cherokees, and then once again, and demonstrating that the Cherokees and the Negroes, and I'm sorry, that's the term that was used at the time, and just were distinguishable, etc. And so throughout this writing, they refer to Cherokees on 15 times, etc. Talking about, in this particular highlight, talking about the Creeks, and the Cherokees up above. You can see that there's the mentioning of the Yamasee, even further up, the Sakahachi, the Kusahachi, the Pocataligo, all tribes that were in the area, etc. Now I want to just really switch over before I go on to my next source, and show the usage of the term. Let's see. Bear with me 1 second. It's coming up. Thanks for your patience, guys. And here. First instance, I'm going to read just the sentence. At the wharves were London packets, where London packets would load with rice and deer skins, now lay perigos, and larger trading boats paddled by Negroes or Indians. Two distinct cohorts, as well as distinguished at the time, here again, by the individuals that were there. Next example, if I could, please. Bear with me, please. Here, and I'll start back on the page here. In 1708, when the total population of South Carolina was 9,580, including 2,900 Negroes, there were 1,400 Indian slaves. Here again, the purpose is to demonstrate that there was a distinct difference in appearance between the natives, the Indians, if you would, and the Africans, or what was referred to as Negroes. And this, once again, is the very territory, a portion of the territory of the Cherokees. Be reminded. So I'm going to move on here again. Further example. Let's see. My apologies. Thanks for your patience. Now, this is an important distinction. Where it is that this was a period in which it is that there were still yet significant concerns by the early colonists, and so far as the threats that the natives were posing, very simply because the natives had grown tired of the encroachment of the colonists, of the way in which it is that they traded, the unfair trade practices, of the enslavement, etc. And so what it is that the colonists did, as colonists generally will do, is find ways to pit, to utilize the resources that are amongst them. And here is where it is that that the Negroes were drafted into the army, being reminded that these Negroes were, in fact, if you would, were enslaved Africans. Above here, I will read here again. Let's see, where should I start? Craven at that particular point was the governor of South Carolina. To Sanguine pledged the proprietors aid as well as his own. May 7th, the Commons House resolved, begin quote, that a treaty with the Cherokee Indians be set on foot immediately. If you read further down, what you're as well realizing that if in fact they're building a relationship with the Cherokee Indians and then equally employing, if you would, or drafting, utilizing the as they say, the Negroes into the army, what you're still yet talking about is two distinct, identifiable cohorts, one being of African origins, the next
that 3-minute mark.
Next native origins. I'm going to stop with that, and then I want to now go over to just a hair bit of descriptive language. Tell me that you are still yet able to see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Okay, I'm bringing up this last point. Come on, start up. Don't you this now. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to provide, from this a source. There is one remarkable circumstance respecting the hair of the head of the.
Hang on, Blackwater. Time out. Yeah. We can't see the new screen. We still seeing your old screen.
Okay, all right. Would you stop the clock for me right quick? This is really important. And so let's see, what do I need to do here? Go back. Damn, why is that happening to me?
I don't know. There you go. And just kind of go back in. Okay. I'm going to step.
Present. Let's see. I'm thinking I need to slides from my computer. Upload. Oh, no, I can't do that. I've got that open already. So let's try it again. My apologies, guys. Share screen again. Share screen. And I had that open. It is William Bertram, descriptions. And if I hit share, you should be able to see my screen now. Is that accurate? Hello?
We can see your screen.
Okay, fair enough. Now I need to hold on. Let me get back to the place where it is that I needed in this particular document. I want to make it large enough for you guys to be able to see it. I want to go to, let's see, right here. Okay, and so here we go. If you would restart my clock. There is one remarkable circumstance respecting the hair of the head of the Indian, which I do not to have been observed by travelers or historians. Besides the lankness, extraordinary natural length, and perhaps the coarseness of the hair of the head, it is of a shining black or brown color, showing the same splendor and changeableness as different exposures to the light. The travelers informed me that they preserved its perfect blackness and splendor by the use of the red ferociousness or furry covering of the berries of the common sumac. Overnight, they rub their red powder in their hair as much as it will contain, tying it up with a handkerchief. Let's move on. Let's bear with me. Oh, no, I need to hit this. Come on. I did that already. My apologies, guys.
We're at that 1 minute mark.
Okay. Dang it. I need to describe them. All right. Well, I'm going to have to do it during my closing, etc. There is descriptive language of those natives in this particular journal as well. And I want to I would like to present that. And so I'm going to do it during my close, etc. But at any point, I can. Yeah, I'll just hold on that and do it during the close. But with that in mind, what I will say is that this is a writings of an individual by the name of Bertrand. That was William Bertrand, to be precise, who is an ethnobotanist that traveled through North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, and encountered many of the natives.
Time.
Thank you.
So next we'll have our closing remarks. We'll start with Flex, and then we'll move to Blackwater. And Flex, you'll get 7 minutes because we added 2 minutes to your 5 minutes. Is it all right with you?
Yeah, that's cool. Appreciate it.
Okay, let me know when you're ready.
All right. Let me get my screen ready. All right, I want to go back to, I'm ready. I want to go back to the Anakatani. The Anakatani were an ancient priesthood among the Cherokee people. According to Cherokee legend, the Anakatani were slain during a mass uprising by the Cherokee approximately 300 years prior to European contact. I want to go down to James Moody's writing. From the writings of James Mooney, the massacre of the Anakatani, among other perishing traditions, is that relating to the Anakatani, concerning whom the modern Cherokee know so little that their very identity is now a matter of dispute. A few holding that they were ancient people who preceded the Cherokee and built the mounds, while others with more authority claim that they are a clan of society in the tribe and were destroyed long ago by pestilence or other calamity. The Anakatani most likely supervised religious ceremonies among the Cherokee. They may have been the mound builders who lived in the Appalachian lands in which the Cherokee settled. Mooney's informants describe this group as much despised, corruptive uses their religious power. And so basically they might have been the mound builders, and some found them corrupt. And they went against their priesthood and had them massacred. So touching on the mound builder society and how it relates back to ancient Egypt. All right, Egyptian pyramids. The Egyptian pyramids first started as bench-shaped mounds called mastabas, and these mastabas were built upon each other to act as tombs And then, let's see. This was the first mastabas. Egyptian tomb with a rectangular base, a flat roof, sloping side walls, and let's see. You can find this also. You can find this at the Etoa Mound. And then the Mississippian culture map. These are all the mounds found across the world. Town Creek. Here's the Grave Creek stone from earlier with the Phoenician inscription. Here's Phoenician writing. Here's the Bat Creek stone that was found. And then here's a Cherokee village with the ceremonial mound. And then here's Cahokia, a part of the Mississippian culture. And then just back to the study. Haplogroup T was the most prevalent.
You're at your 3-minute mark.
Okay. And haplogroup T, this is in Africa, haplogroup T is primarily found among Afro-Asiatic speaking populations, including the basal T-clads. Some non-basal T-clads are commonly found among the Niger-Congo-speaking Sahara due to diffusion from the Maghreb, likely with the spread of Islam. So just go to the highest frequency where it's found. And it's the highest frequency of haplogroup T was found in Egypt. If you go back to the study, it was a 3-phase study. The level of haplogroup T in the Cherokee was 26.9, approximating the percentage for Egypt at 26 or 25. And then here's one of the first Cherokee that was, I guess, painted. Ostanaco. That's what he looked like. I don't think he had a strong, long black hair or whatever. I guess he was balding, but that's what he looked like. And then that was early. Let's see, that was 1700s. And then you have here's a Chief Black Coat. That was 1834. He has short black hair, but yeah. And here's let me see. And no, all Native Americans do not have the same DNA. This is from the Hopewell Mound.
You're at your 1-minute mark.
Okay, cool. And at the Hopewell Mound, they had the ABCD. Out of the ABCD and X, the most common Native American haplotypes, they found 4 of the possible 5. So the difference between the Hopewell descendants are the Chippewa, Delaware, Kickapoo, Miami, Ottawa, Peoria, Seneca, Shawnee. So they have a completely different DNA from Cherokee that had the haplogroup T X and the ones from the Middle East. These are the haplogroups: K, T, U, J, H, and X, and this is from 50
Time.
people. Thank you.
Thank you, Flex. Next, we'll hear our closing remarks from Blackwater. Blackwater, let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm going to turn my bear with me one brief moment here. Let's see if I'm competent enough to. Well, I see that my screen's been turned on, so I'm going to turn it off, and then I'm going to turn it on so I can share. Share here again. And I was inside of what document? Bear with me. William Bertrand description. Let's hit share. I need to go back to. Bear with me 1 second. I'm not ready. I just need to go back to where I was presenting, and so bear with me 1 second. Okay. So, okay, great. If you would start me up. Thank you. And so, before finishing this up, I want to remind you here again that language is important, and we must listen to what it is that's being said and listen closely. If I think I heard correctly, my highly esteemed opponent used the term in referring to another culture as they, quote unquote, preceded the Cherokee. I'm being reminded that the argument here is establishing that the Cherokee were the original Cherokee were Africans, right? And so the term we should fix on the original as well. I heard him use the term quote unquote or the expression may have been, not definitively, that he used the expression may have been. Additionally, further on, I heard him use the term might, quote unquote, might have been, not a definitive term, a term of possibility, a term perhaps even of some greater or to lesser extent probability, but not one that's definitive and so forth as being a definite. Additionally, I want to go back to the fact that that he shared with us, some sources, and I grant him, the privilege and certainly appreciate that he did. But what I think I saw was a number of .coms, and not if you would, a .edu, meaning that it's from an educational institute, nor was it .gov, where it would be government affiliated, and then where we would be looking at either peer reviewed or primary source information. And then finally, I appreciate the fact that he even shared some images of Egyptian tombs. They were interesting, to say the least. However,
3 minutes.
Thank you. They did not help to close the gap, the significant burden that he placed upon himself, and seeking to establish that which it is that no historian, no archaeologist, no anthropologist, no linguistist has ever done in the past, and yet I commend them from taking on such a significant burden. It is the thing of champions, to see that which it is that it does not exist and believe that they can turn it and turn the mountain into a lake. In this particular instance, that has not occurred. He provided information that I think that many of us might be able to walk away and having learned something. But the task here was, as I remind you, the task was to present evidence, to present unequivocal evidence that the early original Cherokees were African and of African origins. In this particular instance, he's failed to meet that burden. I'd appeal to each of you when you're reviewing, considering, as I'm sure that you have, intently, that the claimant has not met the burden of proof, and in fact, he's fallen before getting to the line of where it is that the burden would begin. You must reach the conclusion here, that the evidence that he's presented, that I largely responded to, did not make the hurdle of being historical, that we will not be joining, if you would, a Nobel Peace Prize party, that we will not be lifting my dear opponent upon our shoulders and seeing him as the hero that we were hoping and seeking.
You're at your 1 minute mark
tonight. And so with that in mind, it's been an absolute pleasure. I here again commend my opponent. He has been fanciful. He has been, if you would, most gracious. But what he's not done, and the only reason that we've been here, the only reason that we are here, is for him to have reached a burden that no other individual on the planet, with all of the credentials, with all of the letters behind their names, with all of the published peer-reviewed scholarship, has been able to have done in the past. And at this particular point, respectfully, however candidly, this gentleman as well has not been able to provide the evidence, the support of the claim that he's made. And each of us must reach the conclusion we're absolutely where we were when we began. Thank you.
So this portion of the debate, we will be taking questions. So if you have a question about what you heard in the debate tonight, drop it in the chat, and we will answer your questions as best as we can. So we're going to begin the question part now.
Hey, great job, Flex. I really appreciated it, bro. And I apologize about having some technical, if you would, hiccups over on this side. But thank you. It's been a significant pleasure, my brother.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you. Hey, but you didn't see my EDU sources?
Oh man, I'm sure that you presented them.
I had a couple in there, man.
Oh, and here again, Flex, what happens under these circumstances is that, vision as well goes, along with age. And so you probably, I'm sure that you did. And it's just that I couldn't see them. And so I do apologize. But at the very same time, even with those EDUs, bro, you and I can agree, and we can do it behind the stage, that the Cherokee still yet remains native, and Africans still yet remain Africans, and that's okay.
So there's a question in the chat. It says, "How white DNA? Why is one Cherokee people?" I guess it's saying, "How white is the Cherokee people?"
Let's see. If we, according to the study of the Cherokee that were, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, 1 second. All right, let me just share the screen with them, so you can see the final study. They did let me see, 176 people, or 151 total participants. They came back with Yates' genetically remarkable diverse Cherokee sample. The unique haplotypes represent therein, and the frequencies of the haplogroups found, quite different from those of the larger U.S. populations, are striking. Similar proportions of these haplogroups are noted in the populations of Egypt, Israel, and other parts of the East Mediterranean. No such mix could result from post 1492 European gene flow into the Cherokee Nation. Preliminary results from phase 3, closed in May 2018, confirmed the non-American Indian or anomalous Native American component of Cherokee descendants. The updated haplogroup finding across phase 1 through 3 are as follow. Haplogroup U came in at 22.7% at the top. T at 17.6. H at 17. J at 9.7, and then the typical Native American haplogroups at only 7.4, K at 6.3, and X at 5.1. As you can see, U emerges as the most common anomalous type of the Cherokee, followed by, and that's Middle Eastern and European. So I guess they're 22% European, 17.6 North African, Egyptian. H is I think Middle Eastern as well. Let me go to the first study. I said H. H is it's a suspect of admixture, but they said there are but only 4 cases of it. So that's a European haplogroup as well. And let me see. So yeah, from these 176 people, about 40, about 30 some, 30, 35, 40% is YT. The rest was, or Middle Eastern, I guess. Middle Eastern, North African, Levant area. Middle Eastern, North African, and Mediterranean.
So, and are you finished, sir?
Yeah, unless he has any other questions.
Yeah, well, I'd actually like. My understanding that that particular site is a .com, and is that study a peer-reviewed study that you're just quoting from a .com, which would be a business that's engaged in commerce? Or are you able to respond to that?
Yeah, this is just DNA consultants. They run their own private, and they have the disclaimer somewhere.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and so it's not really at this point able to establish that it's peer reviewed and that there is a business interest that would be attached to whatever it is that they would put on their pages. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't agree with it. I mean, it's just one of their studies, but yes, I mean, possibly.
Okay, fair enough. And generally speaking, in the .com, business, if you would, anything that's going to be on the owner's website is going to be there to promote their product or services. And I would imagine, I've taken a quick look, at the site here on my device, and they are engaged in commerce. And so, I don't see anything that supports the fact that that study is a peer-reviewed study. And let's just assume that it is. It seems to be a relatively small sample. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't believe they believe in taking DNA tests. So yeah, out of the people, they only got 126. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your responses, sir.
So our next question, Flex. Egyptian artifacts found in the mounds.
The artifacts, these were Phoenician. But let me show you. This is the Grave Creek Stone, Ohio State. This was the original photograph with the Phoenician. Here's a Phoenician, like Phoenician alphabet tablet. That was the first one, and the second one from Ohio State again was the Bat Creek Stone.
And I'm sorry, sir, were you done?
Yeah, let's add another question.
Okay, I just wanted to ask here again, I'm just looking back at my notes here, and and as you obviously would have been doing, I'm assuming, I'm kind of I was following along since the beginning, and I think that Yates study was actually self-identifying. Would you agree with that point?
Let me see. I have to go back through it.
Yeah, and I may be incorrect, but as I mentioned, as you went through your sources, and I appreciate it. I was just following along, and we're debating, and so I was making, just checking on various things and making notes here, and I believe if my understanding's clear here, that in the Yates study, it included self-identifying individuals.
Let me see. In all of them, I don't think it's so. On all of them, let me see.
Yeah, don't and if you have a moment, you can, but don't if you would take any extraordinary effort in doing so. Um, and did I understand you to say my last note here? I was researching while you were talking, trying to multitask, which I'm not really efficient at. But I see that I overlooked the note and trying to save time. That you mentioned about a lost tribe of Israel, and were you affiliating or associating the Cherokees with the lost tribe of Israel? And
No,
you
that was just included in one of the sources, but
right, that's what I thought. Okay, all right. Okay, so I certainly appreciate it.
I'm not too sure on the. But here's that disclaimer. I'm not too sure on the enrollment, but
Yes, sir.
but I believe they were part of the Eastern Band, and maybe some of them were self-identifying. I'm not. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for responding on those.
Section between the Phoenician and the Cherokee flex.
You said the connection.
Yes, the connection.
Just the alphabet, I guess. The engravings on the stone, both stones, and the let me see. Pull my video back up. So with these stones, they actually got out the mounds. If you go from there, like I said, you gotta look at the Phoenician alphabet. And that was the first one. And this was the second one they pulled out. Smithsonian Mound Survey Project, Eastern Tennessee, and that's a Cherokee or Hebrew. And so that was that one, and then you go back to this. Let me see. Sorry. Go back to the Anikatani, who were the fire priest, and that's Phoenician and Egyptian practice. Hold on. Going back to the Phoenix. And then 1 second. If I can find the Egyptian priest one. And then you have the copper plate of the Birdman. Which all goes back to Egypt. And the Phoenix, and then the Egyptians associate the Phoenix with immortality. Hold on. In Greek mythology, the Phoenix was the eponym of Phoenicia, who together with his brothers were tasked to find their adopted sister Europa. So yeah, that's a connection between the Cherokee, between the artifacts and their culture with North Egypt, North Africa, Egypt, and Phoenician Levant area. That's a Levant. That's a Phoenician stone. That's the Grave Creek stone. Phoenician writing. Uh, Another stone pulled out that they tried to decipher. So I hope that answered this question.
Thank you so very much, Flex, for for providing those answers. And so as I mentioned, and just being clear, what it is that I do is I don't accept anything on first face, and so I'm researching while it is that you're speaking. Did you find any evidence to support the idea that the Bat Creek stone may very well not represent what it is that it purports to, or what you've presented it to be? And let
Yeah.
me.
Oh, go ahead.
And so I was about to rephrase my question. So what I found, after doing some relatively, simple research, is that a Bat Creek stone may very well be a hoax. Did you come across anything that supports that conclusion?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it earlier, and you were kind of pointing it out that I was saying words like "might have" and stuff like that. But yeah, that was the stone I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I certainly appreciate it. And then, if I could ask a question, and please feel free to ask me any questions, about what it is that I presented. But, I as well made a note here, that I wasn't able to tie that connection if you would, to connect the dots, as it said, between the Phoenicians and the Cherokee. Could you once again, in summary, just connect the dots in that one for me? I kind of missed it, and it's probably because I was writing and trying to make notes, and then I'm doing some research on the side as well. And so, could you maybe connect the dots on that for me, please?
Yeah, sure thing. Let me show my screen.
Okay.
So again, this is from the DNA consultants test on the Y chromosome side of Slush et al. Study, male haplogroup K was found to have a relatively high frequency of 11 in the Galilee region. K renamed T in the revived Y. CC nomenclature has long been suspected to be the genetic signature of the Phoenicians. A TV show by National Geographic appeared about a year ago titled Who Were the Phoenicians, in which Spencer Wells of the National Geographic Geographic project unveiled this theory. Without a doubt, it was the Phoenicians whose name among themselves was Canai or Kainai or Canaanites, not Phoenicians, red paint people, which this is what the Greeks called them, who are referenced by James Adair, which James Adair is a Cherokee descendant. He was mostly European though, and he wrote a book about his observations. When he observes that several old American towns are called Kenai, and suggests that the Kenoi Indians of Pennsylvania and Maryland were Canaanites in their tribal name, a corruption of the word Canaan. The Kenoi Indians were the same Indians William Penn around 1700 described as resembling Italian Jews and Greeks. By about 1735, they had dwindled to a remnant of a nation or subdivided tribe of Indians. According to Adair, one of the oldest Cherokee clans, it's also called Red Paint Clan. Yeah, that's basically from the study that was done.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yo, did Kentucky drop y'all?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Kentucky.
Oh shit.
We all want to take more questions.
You know, if there's any questions for me, but it appears that the questions are for there's Kentucky.
Okay,
are mostly for.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, no worries. You good, huh?
So, I'm sorry. And so, with that in mind, entirely up to Flex. And if anyone, like you said, has questions for me, I'm more than happy to entertain them. But I was actually, as I mentioned, standing as defense counsel here more so than the claimant.
Kentucky, your mic good? I think Kentucky having some technical.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll do a few more questions and then I'm gonna call it a night.
All right.
Flex, I noticed that you mentioned the Melungeons. What exactly are you tying the Melungeons in with the Cherokee and the Africans?
Let me see what you said about the Melungeons. Okay, it said the Phoenicians' name in their own Semitic language translates as Canaanite, a reflection of their origins in the Eastern Mediterranean. James Adair, who wrote the first book about American Indians in 1775, suggests that this ethnonym appears in the name of the Kanawha River and as the name of the now extinct Indian tribe of Kentucky and West Virginia. Phoenicians are probably also the source of haplogroup X in the New World, and they are implicated in the mystery of the Melungeon people, with court cases mentioning them by name.
Does anybody have excuse me? Does anybody else have any more questions? Oh yeah, so Flex, there was a question about the Kickapoo and the other tribes. You were speaking about that DNA. Could you go back to the Kickapoo and tell us what you were saying about the Kickapoos, please?
Oh yeah, basically they went into a different mound from a different culture of the Mississippi, and they went into the Hopewell mounds, and they found the haplogroups A. Well, they found four of the five out of the five usual haplogroups of Native Americans, which are A, B, C, D, and X. So the differences from that study to this other study was the Cherokee had haplogroups from majority U, T, H, J, and they only had 7.4% from traditional Native American haplogroups A through D, and they only had 5% through X. But like Blackwater said earlier, this was a limited group of participants, but it was 151 people. Presumably didn't know each other, so yeah. But they still came out with similar haplogroups.
Um, Flex, that's another question. Are you trying to put Egypt in America?
No, I was just showing the origins of the Cherokee having North African, and Semitic, North African and Semitic origins, and a little bit Asiatic, but I know Egypt is not in America. No.
Blackwater, do you want to answer any more questions? I think that we probably can wrap this up now.
No, actually, I wouldn't, but I would like to say once again, and sincerely, thank you to Flex for your willingness to have this discussion. Thank you, Kentucky, for your efforts in making this happen. Thank equally the host, if you would, Port City, for allowing us the courtesy of using your platform. I'm deeply indebted to you for doing so. But as well and equally important, I'd like to thank those that devoted their time to come up and to come over and listen to the discussion. I praise each and every one of you. And if you would, if you're not following me, please follow me on TikTok under my account, Blackwater Advisors. And once again, thank you all so very dearly.
I would like to thank, there's a lot of people I would like to thank for making tonight happen. Um, First and foremost, Blackwater and Flex. Flex stepped up to a big job tonight, and I think he did well. I would also like to thank Port City. We were having technical difficulties, difficulties, and you stepped in with no problem, and you offer your platform to us, and I really appreciate that. And I want to thank Keys for making the flyer for us for this debate, and I want to thank Caribbean for doing her background work, making sure everything was together. And there's just so many people to thank for tonight, and I just want to thank you all. Um, I want to thank you all, and I really appreciate today was my first debate moderating. I don't think I did too bad, and I think it's also Blackwater and Flex's first time, and for their first time, I think they did a great job. Flex, you want to say something?
Yeah, just appreciate y'all for hosting. Appreciate you, Blackwater, for pulling up. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. That's pretty much it.
Thank you once again, and thank you, Kentucky. You did a tremendous job, and so I'm looking forward to the next opportunity. Maybe you can bring in like a godly next occasion, or one of the 8 or 9 that chose not to follow through with their commitments. But looks like you are that we're back in a position where we can establish that agency relationship, and we'll talk behind the scenes exactly what that fee structure is going to look like.
Thank you, Blackwater.
No,
And let me just say that Port City gave me a crash course on how to moderate today, and I really appreciate it. But I will be back over here so you can continue to teach me how to moderate.
Oh yeah, definitely, sis. You stepped up to the plate, and I think you did a good job. Everybody, man, shout out to Blackwater, shout out to you, Flex, man. I think all you guys did great. You guys are more than welcome to come back too for future debates. So just kind of let me know. I don't mind setting this thing up again. Last minute, I had the time on my hands. And I know Blackwater wanted a debate for a long time. He finally got the cherry popped on that. So I commend you, my brother. You did well. All you guys did. Definitely appreciate seeing this. I wasn't a fan the whole time, just sitting back. So yeah, thanks Kentucky for doing your thing. I think you did great too. Shout out to everybody in the chat that chatted and supported both of the debaters and stuff like that. I saw a lot of participation in the crowd tonight, so shout out to that. Shout out the Adjustment Syndicate after party on Mo's TikTok. Y'all heard it from Susan, so make sure y'all go ahead and go over there and check them out. But you can close it out, Kentucky, if you want, and I'll wrap it up.
I don't have anything else to say. You can close it out. Unless Blackwater and Flex has something else to say.
Unless y'all got something else to say, I'll wrap it up.
All right, thank you.
Peace
See y'all
out.
on TikTok streets. Good
Peace.
night.
Everybody have a good one. Peace. See if I can close this joint out, y'all. Yeah, go ahead and check the after party on TikTok. That's where everybody gonna be. Make sure y'all follow Mo, Facts, Susan. Shout out to everybody. Team Syndicate versus everybody. Anybody got something to say to me or anybody on the crew? This is where we handle all of our beef at. So anybody who said that y'all debated us, if you haven't seen this shit on YouTube, it ain't happened. All right. So I appreciate your likes. I'm gonna get up out of here. You might meet me over there on Mo's live. I don't know how long I'm gonna stay up because I gotta go to work tomorrow. But peace, everybody. Peace.
Why do 85% of people feel disconnected from their heritage? Let's change that. Welcome to Port City Vibes, your new home for African-centered consciousness. Our mission: to restore African consciousness and unite people of African descent across the diaspora. Whether you're from the States, the Caribbean, or the motherland itself, this is your safe space to explore, learn, and grow. We dive deep into our rich history, celebrate our vibrant cultures, and discuss the path forward for our communities. Join us in this empowering journey as we reclaim our narratives and uplift each other. Support the channel by becoming a member today. Together, we can make a difference. Let's reignite the African spirit and create a future rooted in unity and pride. Welcome aboard.
Equality has nothing to do with whites. We don't want to be equal with the white man. He's not the criteria or yardstick by which equality is measured. He's not in a position to tell us we are equal. It's not his right. It's not his to do. We had equality before the white man was created. We had equality before the white man came into existence. And we want equality whether the white man is on this earth or not. Equality means the opportunity to develop all of our dormant potential, all of our dormant capability. And in developing this dormant capability, the right and the ability to stand on this earth on some land of our own and bring about a civilization and a society in which we will be completely independent, complete freedom to take care of the needs, to take care of the wants and the likes and the dislikes of our people, to establish our own nation, our own society, our own heaven, our own future. This is what we mean by freedom, by equality. And justice means as you sow, so shall you reap. If you do wrong, you'll get wrong in return. And if you do right, you'll get right in return. When you're in your own nation, in your own land, you're in a position to get justice. But when you're in another man's country, in another man's land, under another man's flag, and under another man's government, and under another man's court system, you have to look to that other man for justice, and you'll never get it.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?